Well, when there's a will, there's a way, right? Well, what happens if there's four wills? That was the case for the late, great Aretha Franklin. And now those four wills, well, they could be causing some problems for her family. To talk about this more and why it could impact you at home, we get to welcome in our friend Kyle Wingfield, of course, from Philly Alexander Wealth Management. Kyle, how have you been?
I've been doing well. I mean, we're still dealing with the pandemic, but it's looking up. So we're gonna, I think we'll be back to normal before we realize it. So
Well, let's talk about getting back to normal, something that may not be normal, having to think about your will. Okay, four wills in the case of Aretha Franklin, not a smart move, huh? Not over planning in a positive.
no, I think the first thing to clear up is, I mean, Aretha Franklin's probably the most recent tragedy, estate planning tragedy, where she transitioned on to the great beyond. But before that was Prince. And I think let's just be clear up. A will doesn't keep you out of legal contestability and probate. And what you're seeing with Aretha Franklin's estate right now is which will is accurate. Then there's people coming out of the woodworks trying to contest, hey, I'm supposed to get this. No, that one's inaccurate. And I think that somewhere down the line, a handwritten one showed up. And so there's all of that contestability and conjecture and all this mess that is costing the estate money.
Okay, so what do people need to know so they don't find themselves in this situation, at least with their heirs? Do you have to have a will that is done and notarized and signed by a lawyer? What do people need to know so that they can make it easier on their heirs?
Well, Natalie, I put out something called the 37-minute estate planning guide. And so that's available at finleyalexander.com. But to get to your point here, wills are good, but wills are almost like a wish. I mean, it's you're just saying, hey, this is what I want to see happen when I'm gone. So and so gets X, so and so gets Y. But that doesn't keep you out of probate. Now, probate, here we are with that jargon again. Probate just means this. It is the legal process of getting the deceased property to the living. Now, in that process, in probate, it's very public, and people know about it, and they can come out of the woodwork like you're seeing here and start contesting things and saying this isn't accurate, isn't that's inaccurate. Both sides have to. Everybody's hiring attorneys, and now it's costing money that shouldn't be costing money. So,
Kyle, I like that we're using Aretha Franklin, and I think there's sometimes perhaps a misconception that people are like, okay, yeah, wills, Aretha Franklin. We talked about Prince before we got started. That was another situation. Why is it that everybody needs to think about estate planning and not just those that are super famous and have stardom beyond belief?
Yeah, I think the first thing, Natalie, is to your point, estate planning, and so many people have tendency to default to either what's that or I'm not rich, that's for rich people, or they might know what it is and think it's only about federal estate taxes. And estate planning is really just the umbrella term for having the right legal documentation in place so that if you're incapacitated or no longer here, what you want to happen will happen. And so in many ways, there should be a will, there should be a power of attorney, an advanced healthcare directive, you've named someone your healthcare agent and your financial agent, which is someone you trust that can make decisions on your behalf in either one of those areas if you're incapacitated. And then the whole idea, should I get a trust, should I not get a trust? There's so many different things you can do, but everybody should get the legal documentation figured out.
Okay, two really quick questions before we run out of time here. Really quickly, I know each state can call it something different. Executor, personal representative. I've learned they kind of mean the same thing. How important is it to have that person named, or is that something the court automatically does?
It's your money, it's your stuff. You name the person. And clear up with the person, like, hey, if something happens to me, I'm going to name you the executor or executrix or the personal representative of my estate to help mitigate it.
And really quick too, Kyle, if you do want to make changes, maybe people think, oh, I can just make a change on this Post-it note here. Do you have to go through the whole process again of having it signed and notarized to make a change to your will that the court will validate?
So I'm not an attorney, but I'm going to tell you this. If you go get it notarized and go through that and use a lawyer to make your amendments and adjustments, and then get it notarized and filed with the court, it can still get contested. Anybody can contest it, but it's going to get dropped. They're going to be like, nope, this is legit. Next.
Well, again, Kyle, there's so many pieces when it comes to this. I'm glad you've put together something because I know from a financial side, it is good to have someone like yourself on people's teams when it comes to estate planning. So thank you for this. Kyle, I've got more questions. Will you come back next week on Money Monday to talk more about this?
I certainly will.
Absolutely. There's the information so you can get in touch with Kyle and his team today.